Up here in the hills north of Calistoga, California, there are plenty of grapes to turn into wine. But there is also steam to turn to electricity.
The geysers started generating power in 1959.
Susan Petty is an engineer and geologist with Geothermal Energy. That's the Model T of steam turbines next to her.
This is the little generator that generated the power.
They may not look like much, but with hundreds of tiny turbines working together.
The geysers at one point was producing 2,000 megawatts, which is as much as 2 Hoover dams.
In fact, sending enough electricity to the grid to light a city the size of San Francisco. But not anymore. The underground aquifer supplying the water is drying up, and so is the steam. They
overproduced the geysers, and so it started to drop off in production in the late 80s.
But there may be a way of revitalizing these old wells. Enough, says the Department of Energy, that geothermal power could go from supplying 1% of the nation's energy to more than 10%. The technique is called Enhanced Geothermal Systems, or EGS.
It's a man-made technology that allows you to create geothermal reservoir that is the equivalent of the naturally occurring reservoir we find in natural geothermal fields.
Here's how it works. EGS mimics geysers by pumping water down into rock layers that are otherwise hot and dry, as much as 3 miles deep. Treated water then is pumped in and returns to the surface as steam, which turns a turbine.
Geothermal power.
And the Obama administration is betting big on EGS. Almost $156 million in stimulus funds are going to EGS-related projects, which could be great, except...
Induced seismicity.
Induced what?
You can cause earthquakes.
Ernest Major is a geophysicist at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. He has a $1.5 million grant from the DOE to study the safety of EGS, and he's concerned that if it's done wrong, EGS could have, well, a few faults.
If you drill too close to the fault and you put too much water into the fault,
you could have what happened in Basel, Switzerland 4 years ago. Here in the city, this company, Geopower Basel, caused an earthquake when it began drilling a well. Marcus Herring is the company's developer.
It was a very short jolt, and it was at 5 o'clock in the evening. People were on the streets.
The tremor measured 3.4 on the Richter scale. As quakes go, that's pretty small. But Geopower Basel paid out more than $5 million in damages. And Herring, who's a geologist by trade, nearly found himself breaking rocks instead of studying them.
The prosecutor thought he has to do something because it caught so much the media that apparently they needed a scapegoat.
Herring was eventually acquitted by a Swiss court. But EGS drilling was also blamed for 7 small earthquakes in Landau, Germany, over a 2-month stretch, as well as others in France and around the globe in Australia. But Major doesn't see it causing the big one.
Even if you inject into the San Andreas Fault, it's unlikely, not impossible, nothing's impossible here, that you create a large earthquake.
In my view, EGS done properly is safe, it's an attractive renewable source, and I think it's money well spent.
Money including a $22 million grant to Alterac from the DOE to revitalize many old wells and drill new ones.
These power plants are built, they're operating, they have transmission lines to take the power away. So we'd be able to bring them up to full capacity.
Something Alterac was trying to do back in 2009 when it began drilling in the geysers of Northern California to launch the first EGS project. But that first try withered. Just a few months later, safety concerns from California Senator Dianne Feinstein's office, along with several technical setbacks, forced Alterac to shut down the project. O'Shea says earthquakes had nothing to do with the decision.
The issues there had to do with drilling and the difficulty of getting to depth and the fact that it just was costing too much money.
Still, just a few months after its shutdown, Alterac, with the help of those federal funds, moved its plans for EGS testing far away from populated areas. Really far.
So where are we? We're right in the middle of Central Oregon, in Deschutes County.
Will Osborne runs Alterac's experimental site here in Lapine, Oregon. The company's second try at showing EGS can work safely. Osborne's first priority.
So this is one of our seismic monitoring stations. As phase 1 of our project, we're monitoring background seismicity.
But monitoring the impact of drilling isn't the same as eliminating it. And it's not just earthquakes. Some residents are worried about what else EGS could bring up.
They question why they're drilling, and they worry about, is there going to be volcanic action? And this area was, pretty volcanic millions of years ago.
Residents in town are complaining about the drilling, saying they're finding sulfur in their water. Alterock says the town's water is safe to drink, but Mike Newhoffen still is worried.
I'm wondering what else is going on. I mean, that's just one thing that by drilling, it's done something to the environment. What else has it done?
Even if the new site in Oregon proves successful, there won't be any power generated from the experimental site, since there are no transmission lines strung here. But Susan Petty is hoping what they learn in Oregon can be applied back in California and create a new dawn for geothermal power.
I feel that EGS can be safe. We have to plan it, we have to do the homework to make it safe. We can't pump water into faults and expect not to get seismicity that people can feel. So it's clear that we can do it in a safe way. We just have to pay attention.
In Calistoga, California, Dan Goldstein, Energy Now.